And today, starting Sunset Bend, the safety car is going to let them go, and now it is under control of Anichecki down to the starting stand. We wait for the green flag as they approach, and there it is. Green flag is out. It's to turn one. Good start for Anichecki as Keith Grant, yesterday's second place finisher, trying to hold on to her to put pressure on early. Meanwhile, we're looking at 3 wide, farther back in the midfield. Thankfully, I'm not seeing a spin like we had at the start of yesterday's race as we now head towards turn 3.
What a great-looking start, and Anichecki is right where she left off, out front with nobody in the rearview mirror right now. Keith Grant is giving chase, and Tom Rogers slots there into third. That's that driver who's looking for a little bit of a better run here today. He's starting off on the right foot.
Yeah, he's already right there on top of Grant. He leads the Masters class. Bill Pelichewski in the magenta-colored car behind him. The 44 of Tom Rogers stays in line as Anichecki, our overall leader, leads the pack down through turn 7. She pulls a tiny bit of a gap, now up to about 6/10 over Keith Grant in these early stages. You can see farther back, we got a little bit of side-by-side, it looks like. I think that was Cody Knight in there.
This is a different look for this orange number 40, though. Remember, Keith Grant was on the attack yesterday, constantly trying to get by Anichecki, but the first half a lap spells a little bit of a different story here today. Tom Rogers right on that back bumper, applying the pressure this time.
And this was a huge weekend for Anichecki. It was her first North American Series win, as she had taken some wins in the West Series in 2025, but has obviously started things off quite well. She's going to try and go back-to-back today. Meanwhile, man, Tom Rogers is certainly making life difficult for Keith as he continues to hound him. Hasn't really tried to send it in yet, but he is remaining a little dangerously close.
And then don't forget about that pink Nerds machine. That's Bill Pelichewski right there. That's the number 62. So we were talking about Tom Rogers. Well, Pelichewski was also involved in a little bit of a skirmish early on yesterday. So both of those drivers sitting in both third and fourth, which is actually our Masters class lead, right up at the sharp end of the field today.
Yeah, and Fareed has got a mission today because he finished on the podium, but unfortunately he failed tech. So he will not get the points for yesterday's race. Here's a good run, though, from Pelichewski. He's already going to try and send one up the inside here, down into turn 1. Later on the brakes compared to Rogers. This is for the Masters lead as they head out of turn 1. Little bit of an edge for Bill, but it carries on down into turn 3, and now he is able to cover off the 44, new leader in the Masters.
Great execution on that pass. Just got down to the inside of turn 1, and here at Sebring, that shorter distance usually prevails. And what I really enjoyed seeing was there was racing room being given at Apex from Tom Rogers, but now maybe a little bit of a defense from Pelichewski. He's going to have to look in that rearview mirror. Tom Rogers feints to the inside, back onto the racing line. They both jump on the brakes and get it slowed down to Apex. Going to have to jump back on the gas now and drive it down towards turn number 10.
Reed remains also very tight to the bumper of Rogers after that battle. That helped him gain a little bit of time on the pair of them, but not in a position to try and attack, at least at this stage. Heading down into Cunningham, no attack from Tom Rogers this time on Bill's car. This is all happening about a second behind Checki and Grant. Keith probably happy the two started to tussle. That gives him a chance to break away and focus forward.
This is down through turn number 3. I like seeing just kind of the attitude that Tom Rogers has. Yes, he did give up that lead in the Masters class, but he has yet to let go of Pelichewski up there, and this is still early stages, right? We're just completing lap number 2 here, so I have a feeling that the drivers are just now really getting a grip on these cars while everything is finally at temperature, and those Yokohama tires providing some excellent grip.
Certainly looks like a nice smooth start. I know it was a little bit chaotic with a couple cars in yesterday's race, and the other issue for Tom Rogers is he suffered a penalty last time too, we have to remember. So he's come out clean and he's come out swinging, but just unable to hold on to that lead here in the early stages. It is 35 minutes plus 1 lap for the race time. If you're new to Sprint Challenge, they will have to go around one more time once that clock hits 0. Things now spreading out at the front as we watch our top 3 overall take turn 1 once again.
This is, like you said, the front of the field here. Anna Checki is doing, once again, a fantastic job. She really must understand Sebring International Raceway. She didn't let any of that pressure affect her yesterday, and like I said, she's picked up right where she's left off. However, Keith Grant also in a very, very similar position and actually has the fastest lap of the race so far. If you look on the left side of the screen, that purple little icon next to that second place runner, that designates our fastest lap.
Exactly, and the drivers are going to be eager to try and take that throughout today's race, but more so they want to try and get up to the top step of the podium as we follow them down through the Fangio chicane once again. Kind of curious what the battling has been like in the mid-pack here, especially now that we've kind of got settled in up at the front. Anna Checki especially doing a fantastic job just picking up after yesterday and continuing to lead the way.
And at a fantastic pace, too. I think I see our fastest lap so far, basically 2:11.7 from Anna and 2:11.6 from Keith Grant. So, yes, Keith technically a little bit faster, but when we really get down to it, less than a tenth of a second separating these two drivers. And kind of just as I thought, it usually takes maybe one, maybe two laps for these Yokohama tires to really come up to temperature and provide that excellent grip. And I'm looking at my timing and scoring. I see a ton of green sectors. I see purple sector 2 from Anna Checki as well.
Everybody's pushing here in the first few laps of this race, including Rogers, to try and get that lead back in the Masters. He's not letting Bill go, as they also seem to have dropped Farid by a bit. He's now back by a little over a second compared to these two. Down through Sunset Bend once again. Different lines between the pair of them, something you can take through there, as there are many that can happen.
Well, and remember, Pelichewski was able to really carve the inside of turn number 1, and that's where Tom Rogers lost that Masters class lead, and that shot through 17. Once again, Pelichewski was on the inside of the racetrack. It might just be that he's very, very happy with the front end, the setup that the team has provided him, and he's just able to place that thing in the car, carves those corners.
It really does. Setup can make a difference around this place, but you were telling me too, Joey, how much of this track is down to just being aggressive as a driver. Would you describe it as a driver's track?
Well, I think any track that you do well at is considered a driver's track, right? But if you're familiar with the simulators and whatnot, everybody knows Sebring is incredibly bumpy, but until you actually drive it in person, you have no idea how that's going to affect the race car, where the loss of grip is, where you have those really grippy sections where you can put the power down or lean on it laterally. So, yes, I think Sebring, overall, you have to attack the track. You have to attack the bumps. You have to attack the apexes, and that's where a lot of the speed comes from.
Tom Rogers coming off of the USA West Championship last time out, won in the Masters category. Now going to try his hand here at North America, and is starting off fairly well. Meanwhile, things are suddenly heating up for the overall lead, and while initially down into Bishop it looked like Grant was close, I think maybe that outside line did not work out.
You're right. He was definitely outside, which is not going to make the pass done in that section, but the fact that he was close enough to get up alongside was a little bit of the unnerving part if you're the driver of the 27, but she manages to keep it right on the racetrack here. She still is out front and in control of today's race.
And I find this push and pull interesting, Joey, because Anna probably was steeled a little bit by, a confidence boost of coming away with that victory, knowing I can hold off Grant and manage to defend successfully. But Grant probably learned a few things yesterday. So, which is going to win?
Well, we're about to find out here in about 27 minutes or so, Joe. 28 minutes, I guess. But I do think it's easier to learn if you're following somebody faster. Now, every driver, they might drive better if there's a faster car out in front, or they might drive better if they're completely alone and they can focus on their own marks out there. However, it is easier if somebody is faster in front of you to point out, well, hey, look, maybe their line is a little bit different. Maybe their brake zone is a little bit different, or their brake marker. Maybe their later apex here in 7, and that's easy to pick up if somebody's directly in front of you.
Well, the complexion may change from track to track. Right now, in these early stages, it does seem like we've got a bit of a rivalry forming up at the front of the Cayman field. Pelichewski reeling Grant back in. So Keith will have to worry about that because Bill no doubt would like a buffer between himself and Tom Rogers. Again, if you're new to this series, they do not share points between the Pro-Am and the Masters. It is all down to your class position, but they're racing at the same time, and they have to share the track, and you can use that to your advantage. So there is no shame for Bill Pelichowski trying to pass a Pro-Am driver.
And ultimately, I think that the classes are there for a specific reason. However, if you asked Pelichowski, if you asked Tom Rogers, you want to go up there and pass those Pro-Am cars? Well, yeah, they're the same car. They're still out there. I want to go be faster.
For those unaware, the Masters is for drivers 50 and over, so they'd like to maybe show the young bucks a thing or two out there. And right now, he is getting ever closer to Keith Grant here as we get ready to complete lap 5. Meanwhile, Anicheki, again, look, it's about a second ahead, so she's creeping away. It seems at least in the first half of the race, she has the slight edge.
Something else to keep an eye on. My kind of competitor eye notices the flags out here. I was mentioning the wind yesterday, but today it's a little bit more dramatic and it's a little bit more swirling. It's still the same direction of a headwind on the front straightaway, which equals a tailwind on the Ullman straight, the back straightaway. So maybe a little bit less top speed in this section going into turn number 1, but you do have to be careful on the Ullman straight if you're carrying 3, 4, maybe even 5 miles an hour more speed, how that's going to affect your brake marker.
And we are at an earlier time of day compared to yesterday's Cayman Race too, which means that the track is a little bit cooler. Air temperature about 5 or 6 degrees cooler than what they were experiencing before. But we'll see whether or not that makes a difference as we look up here to Rutura with Cody Knight just behind him. This is actually for a podium position in the Pro-Am category.
We were talking with Rutura just earlier, going through the paddock a little bit, and so excited to be out here racing Sprint Challenge, and I know he's really looking forward to the endurance events too. That's primarily what he signed up for in 2026, but just through circumstances, he's here racing in the Sprint Challenge and really proving himself right now. He's currently sitting 4th in that class.
So looks like Cody's going to try and do his best, and actually I take that back, that's not for podium, that's Grant up in 3rd currently. Oh, and our timing and scoring is updating, so maybe something has changed around or there's a little bit of a glitch out there. But regardless, Cody doing everything he can to try and challenge. Remember, he had a bit of a mistake in yesterday's race, fell back down the order and had to fight his way up again.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if that is just a little transponder issue, which I believe it is. I think that David Grant is basically right on the back of Remy Farid, who's call it about 4 or 5 seconds up the road. But going back to Rutura over here, I think that this is kind of the proving ground that he was hoping for yesterday with that little bit of missed qualifying session from everybody, right? It wasn't just one driver, but everybody here in the Cayman class did not put in a qualifying time because of an incident. The cars were a little out of order to start race number 1. He started here in the Pro-Am class in P3 today, and he's hanging on inside the top 5.
Rutura went defensive that time coming down at a sunset bend, so he's feeling a little bit of a threat from Knight. Let's not forget Drowan there, who sits in 4th in the Masters, is probably eager to try and pass them so he can go after Farid as well. Interesting that we're seeing Drowan down in that 4th spot after he had such a good race yesterday, taking the victory. Oh, and a problem with Cody. He's going to go wide and he's going to spin out into the dirt. Everybody else is able to carry on. He's facing backwards in a very precarious position. Thankfully, it looks like he'll find an opening and be able to get going once again.
That was a great job on the rejoin. Just didn't pull it right across the racetrack, waited till there was a space, and then made sure the U-turn was nice and clean. That's what we love to see after a little bit of a spin like that.
Yeah, the speed is there for Cody, but clearly a little bit of sharpening to do, as that's another mistake today. He'll fall down to 14th. Has a lot of passes to get back to his other Pro-Am drivers. We're back to Keith Grant and Anicheki, still separated by about a second, so not really much of a change in the distance between these two, but they are once again running away from Pelichowski and Rogers. We saw them kind of distance themselves from 3rd yesterday as well, so that is starting to bear fruit in a very similar fashion. And you were talking about the lap times. I just realized last lap, oh, no, excuse me, that wasn't necessarily last lap. I'm double checking here the difference between Checky and Grant. And Grant was faster than her by about 0.4 of a second last time.
It's just a little bit of that seesaw battle, and I think we're actually going to get a replay of that turn number 1 incident, and there is Knight just spinning out to the outside. So when you get too far out, driver's right in turn number 1, it gets incredibly bumpy, and the driver's really trying to crank wheel into it to get it back onto the racetrack, and sometimes you can just yaw out like that.
Well, and it narrows up so much too. It is this big, wide. We'll see it here as we follow Grant airfield strip. It is still that same pavement, but it goes off into what is the proper racetrack portion of it. You'll see, yeah, it just both sides suddenly just tighten up, and there is no room for error as you exit the corner. Right now, it looks like he may have had a bit of an error because it switched back to about 1.3 seconds last lap. Yeah, Checky responded 0.5 of a second quicker than Keith.
I want to go back to your talking point, though, from about a minute ago. This is very similar to what we saw in yesterday's race. And now that we're about a third of the way through, right, almost coming up to about halfway through here, we kind of have a feel of how everything is separating or how these guys and gals are racing out there on the racetrack. And yes, Anna and Keith were able to stretch it out from everybody yesterday, and Anna did this exact same thing, about 1.5, 1.8 seconds, maybe even up to 2 seconds. But then all of a sudden, Keith Grant was able to close it back in. Let's see if Anna Checky can continue to balloon that gap up, or if we're going to see something similar to yesterday.
Ventura now ahead of Drowan behind him, not within his class. Chad Knight as well, also Masters. Doesn't look like he's terribly close at this stage. Ventura still wanting to get up to David Grant. And I know you might see David kind of move down the order like we're seeing here. That does appear to be some sort of technical glitch on the car's transponders. So don't fret too much if you see him leave that 6th overall position at some point during the race. In the meantime, down through Bishop once more, and Ventura, well, responding well. He's gapped over Drowan over the last few corners.
Doing a very nice job. Of course, that team based up in the New York area does a lot of work up at the Monticello Motor Club as well, and evidently fitting in nicely down here in Central Florida as well, getting used to the bumps and performing excellent at Sebring.
Yeah, and with not much experience too, Ventura has come in absolutely swinging. I believe this is his second time actually racing at a professional level, and has obviously done an awesome job. And coming down here to Sebring up against a very tough track, I have to commend him. You mentioned the New York-based area. We're losing a lot of accents these days, but I love that this entire team, when you talk to them, yeah, that's a New Jersey, New York-based team. You can tell.
Yeah, 100%, and we love to have them in the paddock. We love the attitudes. We love the personalities that they bring. It is so fantastic to have that entire Tartaglione operation over there. Big shout out to Reggie and Manny who run it all.
That was very wide through turn 5 for Ventura, though, and now it looks like Drowan's got a chance to try and attack into turn 7. This is one of the more popular places to attempt an overtake, but it looks like Todd is going to cover him off way around the outside, but too deep from the 98, and Drowan is instead going to lose a position, just about finds his way out of the corner, and Chad Knight now moves himself up to 4th in class.
That was heads-up driving from Drowan right there. He had right to a racetrack, and all of a sudden that racetrack disappeared on him, and guess what? He did not drive into another car. He drove it off the racetrack to make sure everybody stays here, green flag.
There's something to be said about a sense of self-preservation in racing. You have to learn maybe when to give things up a little bit to try and fight another day and attempt to take it before the checkered flag. You got to have the car at the finish to be able to do so. So we know he's been quick. Can he catch back up to these two? Maybe retake those spots while Knight and Drowan carry on here. And Ventura still at the front of it as well, having been attacked there for a brief moment. He has to recoup as well.
And as these four are going down this long back straightaway watching them, I just want to prop up Anna Czecki right now. She is performing at an absolute top level. Her last lap previously was a 2:11. Nobody else on the racetrack was in the 2:11 bracket out there, so she is maintaining that gap out front.
Impressive stuff. Could we have another pass here? Knight working on Rutura. Seems like Todd having a little bit of trouble at this stage as he guards the inside by half a lane. They slide into turn one, and Knight unable to capitalize on that situation. We'll maybe have to wait till later. Sometimes you can see a sneak attack into turn three, and he is earlier into the corner, just about got underneath him.
And you see taking lots of curbs down there in that 3, 4, 5 complexes. Knight, that white and red car I'm talking about. So maybe just being a little bit more aggressive with the track limits or basically what Sebring has to offer. And in my opinion, even the regular race surface is bumpy. What's the difference of driving over a curb?
Exactly. Hopefully the car's set up to be able to handle that. Although some of the curbs here are notoriously tall.
Looks like Knight has a fantastic run. I think Rotora just had a bad exit out of turn number 7 and puts him on the wrong side of the road approaching turn number 10. This could be the opportunity for the white and red car of Knight to outbrake Rotora, and it certainly seems like he's got that done. Move him up one spot.
I'm impressed with how Chad is running in this race. He's really picking up positions, just being opportunistic. When he sees a mistake happen, he pounces on it, does not let that slip through his finger. And as we watch them exit out of tower, we could have more battles. Rutura is not out of the woods yet. Drowan is now behind him, and he's got one of the Pro-Ams having caught up to this fight. That is Spencer Proper in the 30.
And Spencer was another one of those drivers up inside the top 5 yesterday, so I think that he's looking to try to make his way through these cars and get up to that same spot that he was in yesterday. And a little bit of a pull out to drivers right there. I wonder if maybe that was just a little bit of an overcorrection from a loose condition, but all of a sudden, Spencer Proper's got to run.
He wants to try and get by Dan, but it doesn't have the speed down the Ullman Straight. Actually loses out a little bit, it seems. Not sure if he's got maybe too much wing on it and lost a little bit in a straight line, but we'll see if he can make up for it later. Certainly on the attack. We ride on board with Spencer now, just looking through the windscreen at the cars ahead. This should give us a feel for the bumps through turn 1.
Let's watch him as he carves through this incredibly fast left-hand apex, about a minimum speed of 95 miles an hour, about 100 miles an hour as they go bouncing through that apex there. And this is turn number 3, one of the slower sections of this racetrack. You see minimum speed 60 miles an hour. What about through turn number 5? Joe, check that out. 60 miles an hour. As fast as you go on the interstate is how fast they're going through turn number 5.
Yeah, it pulls a lot more G's than you realize when you get into the car yourself, as he was much tighter than the apex down through turn 5 as well. Goes on the attack once again, looks down to the inside. This is what the driver is seeing into that hairpin. Oh, as Dominique Lecoq outbrakes himself into turn 7. Or did he have any sort of help? Regardless, he's using that runoff to great effect. He will return, it looks like, without any damage.
Yeah, and just when you drive over that much grass, you just have to be careful not to pack the front grills full of it, and just keep an eye on that water temperature. Make sure the engine's still breathing nice and easy in there. That is the one potential downside of driving through all that grass.
Glad to see him get going. I mean, Dominique's had a bit of a rough weekend because he was spun right at the start of yesterday's race, then spent the entire time just trying to make up the ground. So he needs a good result here to maybe get a little bit of a confidence boost, as once again we look back at the 32 of Chad Knight and Todd Rutura, who has since given up that position to the red and white machine, but he's setting him up a little bit here coming out of Le Mans once they get the throttle down.
And Chad's actually already in the middle of the racetrack. Look at the run that Todd has on him down the Ullman Straight here. I wonder if he's going to be close enough. Rotura's going to look to the inside, but it seems like Knight is going to hold him off for now. That white and red car is still on the inside of the racetrack. But the point that I was going to make is that when the white and red 32 got past Rotura, It seemed like Arturo was struggling a little bit with the power down phase, putting the power down to the ground, getting out of turn number 7, then also getting out of, turn number 13 later in the lap. So evidently he's found the handle on the car, maybe even cooled down those Yokohama tires a little bit, providing him that grip that he needs again.
So this is Pelichowski, who at one point was tussling with Rogers for that lead. Rogers back up to the front of the Masters, at least for now. And that's David Grant there, who is putting the pressure on. It's going to look similar to Keith Grant's car, but that is the 29 fighting for what is 4th overall, but is currently sitting on the podium, as the Grants looks like they might have a double podium on that team.
And as we're watching these cars, big shout out to Tom Rogers too. Remember, Pelichowski had gotten by him a little bit earlier, so Tom had made that pass back for the Masters class lead, and both of these drivers have found a nice little piece of racetrack to kind of go out there, do their laps, and try to improve on their Sebring weekend.
Watching them down into Tower Corner, and Pelichowski, yeah, just not quite as close as he was before. Gap showing at about 1.5 seconds up to Tom Rogers. Yeah, you could tell from when we talked to Tom earlier this morning, you know, he didn't seem too happy about having to start so back in the field yesterday, and I can see why with the way he's been running today's race.
I have a feeling that a few drivers feel that way, right? We kind of mentioned it a little bit. Qualifying had the incident, so basically they took the time from practice 2 to set the grid for race number 1 yesterday. So some of the cars were maybe a little bit out of place from their true qualifying pace, but today is a much more accurate representation of kind of how everybody slots in.
Well, yeah, it was that qualifying. Whoa! And we'll get to my point in a second, as Lecoq has another issue, this time out of Le Mans. Thankfully, doesn't look like he found the wall, as many cars can often do through there. Meanwhile, a very wild entry there from Rutura into Sunset Bend. Behind them, it's starting to heat up, as Drowan and Proper are still trying to settle out 9th position overall. At least a little bit of a defense from Drowan initially. Proper can't seem to do anything with it. These three get close together once again down through turn 1, while up ahead of them, Chad Knight tries to scoot away.
Proper's going to look to the inside, Drowan right in the middle of the road, though, so this part of the racetrack through here, 3, 4, 5, is going to be single file unless you're already too wide into the brake zone. Oh, that was a little bit out wide there from Proper. He's going to have to really try to put the power down, but once again, Rutura just having a little bit of a moment trying to get that car up on the straightaway. This is similar to what we saw maybe a handful of laps ago, just trying to put the power down.
Drowan manages to get by, but Proper has to take to the escape road. They are allowed to use this and return to the track here from the outside, so he'll be able to get back on the circuit. He does not lose a position, it looks like, so crisis averted there. Unfortunate that Proper is going to fall a little bit behind when he was so close to this group. What I was going to try and talk about a little bit earlier before we had that incident out of Le Mans Corner was, you know, it wasn't just the fact that they had that interrupted qualifying, but remember they had that spin at turn 1. A number of drivers mentioning that they found themselves having to check up or take evasive action, and that also put them out of position. So yeah, there was a lot of a mix-up yesterday.
Yeah, so yeah, today's race is definitely a little bit more of an accurate representation of how fast Anna Czecki really is. But we already knew that, right? She started P1 yesterday, led every single lap of the race, claimed that checkered flag. She's looking to make it 2 for 2 today, just about another 6.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining.
I'd say all the lessons that she took from last year have really sunk in, because this is a definite improvement, and Anna is looking like she is going to stamp herself at the start of this championship with a potential perfect score. She has to make 6 more minutes plus a lap to really bring this one home, and it's still only 1.5 seconds ahead of Grant, so this is not over by any stretch. In the meantime, Chad Knight is also dropping Drowan, who he does not want to get any closer, because that is for a Masters 4th place between those two. Speaking of the Masters, back to the lead here. Pelichowski still trying to hold on to Rogers and has cut it down now to about 0.7 of a second.
I agree with you. However, last time by, Tom Rogers was actually just about 1/10 of a second faster. Not much. I mean, and when we're talking nearly 4 miles and 2 minutes of lap time, a tenth of a second in these Caymans. If I was to guess, Joe, what, maybe 3 feet or so?
Something like that. Yeah, it is not much. And we'll see if that ebb and flows gets any greater between the pair of them, because Pelichowski may have struggled for what seemed like a little bit, but the car back on it now and putting some pressure on the yellow, white, black, and red number 44. Bill Pelichowski, been in this series for a number of years. Tom Rogers, new to the North America Series after racing over in USA West, so it's the veteran versus the newcomer.
And I am so impressed with the entire, call it midfield, and how consistent their laps are right now. From third all the way back down to, call it 8th. I'm just going to read off a few of these because Tom Rogers, 2:13.2, Pelichowski, 2:13.3, Dave Grant, 2:13.3, 2:13.4. I mean, these drivers are literally on top of each other in terms of their pace out there. I think that just shows how great of a race car Porsche has made for everybody.
And I tell you what, I mean, we had penalties, we had cars that had to make their way down pit lane yesterday. None so far today. And everybody is still on the lead lap because of that. So, yeah, I'd say that everybody has done a phenomenal job here in race number 2, really picking it up and upping the quality as Keith Grant finds himself cutting down on Anichecki a little bit since we last looked in.
I was noticing that as well. I think it ballooned all the way up to about 1.7 seconds is what I saw, maybe even just a lap or 2 ago. But Keith Grant has responded. His last lap, a 2:11.6, fastest car on the racetrack.
It was half a second quicker from Keith last time by. So yeah, he's picking up the pace. There they are. And has learned how to hold up to a little bit of pressure, especially at the end of yesterday's race. It looks a lot closer now coming into the slowest corner as they accordion together. 0.7 of a second over the last timing line between them. Keith is coming.
Here's the thing, though, is it seems that we can build this up all we want, but Anichecki yesterday had a response for every single thing that Keith Grant threw at her. Are we going to see the same thing? Because we've seen this gap close back up, and when it does, Anna always has a response.
Keith was about 0.2 of a second quicker through first sector this lap. Keeping an eye on that second sector to see what the clock shows between them as they'll just about cross that now into Bishop. It's a 45.1 for Anna, 45.5. And you're right, she has responded 0.4 on that sector alone.
And that's what we saw yesterday, too. I really feel like she was extremely strong in the back section of the racetrack, sector number 2. And coming up to turn 17 here, I think we see basically where Keith Grant is strongest, and had a little bit of an oopsie on timing and scoring there. I think I saw 1 car off in turn number 7, but we are still green flag.
Yeah, oh, nope, we got the 98 turned around. This is unfortunate, as I think he was having a good race. Yeah, that was Drowan.
It was a turn 13.
Oh, that is a shame. That is a tricky one, and the unlucky 13 bites another. Does look like we should stay green as, yeah, the car has now gotten going and is on his way. Wow, Checky's response was massive. 1.9 seconds between them now. The difference was literally 1 second over the course of a lap.
And that's what I was looking for. Keith Grant came in hot with that 2:11, and then all of a sudden Anna responds with a 2:12.0, while Keith maybe had a little bit of a tougher lap behind her, and now she's looking at that same gap that she had grown it out to, 1.6 seconds and comfortable.
And here's what fascinates me is we will often see some drivers are more comfortable as a chaser and some drivers are more comfortable as the chased. And this is early in Anna's career, but it's starting to look like she's very comfortable leading and being chased.
What I like to see is the consistency, right? I would like to see a little bit more consistency out of everybody out there because it makes coaching easy. However, Anichecki is kind of this immovable rock. She's been laying down 2:12.0s, high 2:11s, while Keith Grant's lap times are fluctuating a little bit more than hers, and so therefore she is the one out front leading the way.
Still came down just a little bit since they crossed the start-finish line, but not massively. Enough that Anna is still in a good position, and she's going to get the white flag next time by. This is for the overall lead. Down in the Masters, Rogers and Pelichewski, only half a second between them, so that is still close. And they'll come onto the Ullman Straight with one more corner before getting the signal to 1 to go.
She's just got to keep it nice, smooth, and steady for another, call it lap plus 1 corner here. You see that clock finally hit that 0, so yes, she will be getting the white flag. In fact, I look out our commentary booth and I see our start-finish stand already have the white flag in the air.
Indeed. So she sees it up ahead on the flag stand. Just one more time around here for the last race in the Caymans this weekend, at least in Sprint Challenge. And then we'll head off to the Endurance Challenge for a lot of these drivers tomorrow afternoon. Coming out of turn 1, look at the distance between herself and Grant. We wondered whether or not there would be a change after last night's race, and well, it looks like it'll be pretty similar, except this time Anna looking much more comfortable for a lot of the race.
And Keith did close it back up, but I think that Anna is just kind of in cruise control mode. His last lap was about 4/10 faster than hers out front. But she's just got to keep it consistent, right? She's done 16 laps already. She just needs to complete lap number 17 the exact same way she's done the previous ones, and she will see that checkered flag.
So it looks like that off for the 98 of Drowan in turn 13 may have involved somebody else, because he has just been given a drive-through penalty with no time to serve it. He is going to be giving a 67.5-second time penalty post-race. With him already down towards the back, I fear that may mean a last place finish for Dan. But up on the opposite end, Anna Czecki halfway through this final lap. It is back up to 1.8 seconds. I've been keeping an eye on Rogers and Pelichewski. They remain close, but still half a second apart.
Can pretty much taste the victory champagne from here on out. Just keep it so smooth through here. This is abnormally tricky, these corners 15 and 16, so low grip. Keep the car pointed straight, keep it on the racing line, and now she's just got to click up through the gears all the way up to 6th gear, 150 miles an hour before she jumps on the brakes one last time.
Funny you mention it, because I think Anna's young enough that she won't get to taste the champagne, as she is, like I said, a young up-and-comer. So you can't imagine what sort of career is in front of her here today, as Anna Czecki comes to the line and goes back-to-back at Sebring, winning in the North America Series. An excellent second place for Grant once again. Behind them, Tom Rogers, recovering from yesterday, not starting where he wanted to. He commanded this race, had to fight for the win, but he will take it today in the Masters.
Pelichewski comes home second in that Masters class, and then a few more crossing the line. David Grant will round out our Pro-Am podium. I think we're just waiting for this blue and orange car. Remy Farid right here just narrowly edges out Knight for that last spot on the Cayman Masters podium.
I tell you what, Chad made that close, as it's tight as well behind them between Rutura and Greg Czecki. Greg, we didn't see, I don't think, any of him all race long, and suddenly he shows up, finishing 5th in class. A nice top 5 for him. Last of them down and across the line here. Leco eventually finds his way across after a couple spins. Nice recovery from the 31. Cody down in 13th overall. And then just a couple drivers to round us out here in the Masters category to finish this race. That means that Anna Czecki then takes the victory, with Keith Grant second place in the Pro-Am, as Tom Rogers your victor in Masters. Bill Pelichewski finishing second in the Masters. Third in the Pro-Am goes to David Grant, and then third in the Masters to Ramy Farid. From there, we'll do the overall finishing position, as Chad Knight was in 7th and Todd Rutura was 8th. It was Greg Czecki finishing 9th, Spencer Proper 10th, and Johnson in 11th. Dominique Leco finished in P12, Cody Knight in 13th, Trollinger 14th, and Kerr in 15th, with Lewis 16th, and Drowan with his penalty will wind up 17th. We have our podium ceremonies coming up in just a moment, so stick around.
they're not on scene yet anyway, so.
Driver, are you okay?
I'm gonna do a 360 around the car.
Neck and back pain? All right. Yeah, let's get the roof off. All right, we've got neck and back pain.
All right, so we got a code 03.
Getting that off.
All right, hand that off to me, and I'll set it aside. Go hop up there.
Got him.
Who's got C-spine?
C-spine. Steve's got C-spine. Hold on. Yes. He's conscious, neck and back pain. All right, so go ahead, put the helmet.
Hand that off to me.
What's that?
This needs to go with them when we take them
We got
away.
a seat collar. Can you undo his suit, Steve?
Going back to C-spine, Chris. C-collar.
You want to handle that part?
You got
Sure.
C-spine?
Got it.
All right, EMS is here.
We're gonna have to roll all this down.
Yeah.
Hey Chris, you take this off. You got his neck. You got his neck. I'll take this off of it. Okay. Got it?
Yep.
Got it.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Back to it.
You got it?
Yes, sir.
Remember the order of the colors.
All right. Okay.
Good.
You still doing all right,
Seat
driver?
collar's on.
Feel good.
All right, still the same? Neck and back pain? Okay, cross your hands over. Give yourself a hug.
All right, we got the KED behind you.
Okay.
So somebody's gonna
we're
have to
gonna
hold C-spine down below.
you holding? Steve, you got C-spine?
Hold on.
We're gonna have to lean him forward.
Okay, I got C-spine.
Okay, we're gonna
Ready?
come forward.
1, 2, 3.
No, in from through the top.
To the top.
Look down. Okay,
Back.
so come on back. Open those up around his head. Okay. So lift your arms up a second.
Green.
Pull that, tighten the green one.
right, it's time for our podium ceremonies here in Porsche Sprint Challenge North America, Cayman. We're going to start off with the Cayman Masters class. And finishing in third, it's the number 53 of Rami Fareed. In second today, driving the number 62, it's Bill Pelichewski. And with an excellent bounce back from yesterday, our winner is the number 44 of Tom Rogers. Rami, I'm coming up here to join you. Hey. You did a great job out there today. It looked like at the end